everybody. So here we have this Compaq Presario V6000 laptop. I did a video pretty recently on this thing, and one thing you may have noticed in that video is the screen on this machine is extremely dim. So I'm going to look through all my streams here, because I think I have at least a couple that were pulled out of HP Pavilion V6000 laptops, which are the HP cousin model of this Compaq V6000. So first thing we got to do is open this up, and I figured I would do a video of this because, of course, when you watch my videos of repairing newer machines, particularly replacing screens, you may notice how the lid assembly on modern laptops is just absolutely horrible. It's not built well. There's hardly any reinforcement. Basically, it relies on the screen as its reinforcement, which is just such a bad thing. And for example, over here we got this much newer HP, what is this thing? I don't even know what model it is. It's somewhere. But anyways, it's a lot newer. It's from about 2015 or 2016. Actually, I think it is 2016. You can see how there's a screw there. There's a screw there. And the whole rest of this bezel is just snapped into place. And there's probably a couple of small screws up in here and down in there that attach the screen to the lid. Whereas with this machine, I have to peel off these little rubber feet. You can see there are screws all in this thing. One thing I have to say is these older laptops were built significantly better than the newer ones. Yes, they are heavier. They're definitely heavier. But they're a bit more robust and rugged. The one downside, though, to these older machines is they don't have an LED backlight in their displays. It's CCFL, and I think that's why we're having brightness issues with this particular machine. So let's peel all these off here. I think we've even got them here too. No, maybe not. Stick that back then. Open this up all the way. We got two other spots here. Let's see if there are screws hidden in there. And there are. There are definitely screws hidden all in this thing. Okay, so screw here, screws there, there, right there, and right there, versus one right here and one right there. Big difference. Okay, let's go ahead and take these screws out. It's actually been a little while since I have last worked on one of these machines. You look at the size of the screw there, and of course, much bigger than what you have in modern laptops. So a lot better reinforcement. So longer screws and a whole lot more of them. And on a side note, it looks like we have a stereo microphone on this thing. That's pretty impressive. And of course, this machine is way older than the era of Zoom and WebEx and all that good stuff. Of course, we did have video conferencing, but it wasn't nearly as common as it is now. aside from the reliability issues, these were actually pretty nice back in their day. Okay, so now let's carefully pry up on the edge seams. Okay, so one thing I should mention is the clips on the back of this were quite in there. It's been a while since I've had to put so much effort into taking a bezel off. Yeah, there really is a huge difference in build quality with newer machines and older machines. So I can't quite get this bezel off here, however, I do have enough room to get in here where I need to get to. We got a couple of screws on each side that need to come out. Okay. A couple of loose pieces of plastic in here. Of course, this is an older machine, so the plastic with time can get brittle and things like this can happen. I think it was from when I was trying to get the bezel loose. But when we get this flipped around, we have, of course, a video connection like modern screens have. But since this is an older display that we're working with here, it also has an inverter. Now, can't be 100% certain on whether it's the inverter that is bad, or if it's the screen CCFL backlighting that's bad. But we're going to have to try to get this off of here, which may require a bit further teardown into this machine. And of course, a lot of modern machines, you don't have to take the palm rest off the laptop to get the screen off. But on this one, being an older machine, we might have to. It's just due to the fact that it's an older setup. So what I can do is I can carefully close this up and flip this over. Now I don't think we're going to take the entire palm rest off, but we'll have to take some off for sure. To do that, we're going to access these screws under here. So I've taken ones loose there for the keyboard, but I'm just going to take them out anyway, just in case. This machine uses the same size screws to hold the screen or the lid in place as what's used to hold the trim bezel on the lid. I mean, that's crazy compared to what we have now. So my idea here is what we could do is we could try replacing just the inverter and see if that gets our brightness back up to where it should be, or if I have to replace the whole screen. That is to be determined. But now at least we can open this all the way up finally and get access to what we need to get access to. Finally. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just plug this back in to the display. I'll flip this back over. Okay, so this right here is our CCFL inverter. Modern laptops do not have these because modern laptops use an LED backlight instead of a CCFL backlight, which CCFL stands for cold cathode fluorescent lamp. So this is, I should note, this here actually carries high voltage. So if we're going to test this open, we want to definitely use some caution. Like, don't be touching around in this area when you got the computer on. Alright, so let's see if I got any extra inverters. I think I do. And what do you know, in my spare parts I just happen to have what looks to be a direct replacement. I mean, the part numbers are a little different, but they look like they're the exact same inverter. Alright, so this one here, I had to keep track of which one was which because they look identical. So we're going to plug this up and we'll see if the screen works better, or at least the brightness is where it should be with this inverter. If it is, great. If not, we'll change the screen. Tell you what, it's definitely been a minute since I worked on a machine with a CCFL inverter. Okay, everything's plugged up, so I'm going to grab our power adapter for this machine, and let's try to start this up and see what we get. Again, we're going to be working around possibly high voltage, so I want to use some care and caution. Alright, let's give this a start up. Okay, I was able to see something there. Let's try to get it set up here. Alright, let me turn our light out here because that's kind of messing with things. Alright, you can see that's still quite dim. So, now of course on the camera it doesn't appear dim because the camera is of course exposing higher to make it look brighter. Let's go ahead and shut this down. I'm going to wait a few minutes before we detach anything here, but what we'll do is we'll go ahead and change out the screen for a different one. It could be that the CCFL tubes in this display are probably done. I think there is a chance that you can actually replace them, but when I have screens kicking around, I'm not going to replace the CCFL tubes. I'm just going to see what I have here, and I'm highly certain I do have a screen kicking around for this model because I've gotten a fair share of DV6000s over the years, and of course they all have bad motherboards, so there you have it. Okay, so I found this other screen, and as you notice, not exactly the same as the one that came out. The only difference is when you look at these two, you can see this one here has these metal pieces along the top. However, on the sides, the mounting holes are in the same spot. So theoretically, it should still install and hopefully work. Let's see. So this screen does look like it's actually the OEM display. I see September 2006 as the manufacturer date. So let us see if this other screen here will work. I got the video connection hooked up, and got our CCFL lighting hooked up to the inverter. So we'll just set this in here, just like that, and we'll give it a test. Kind of a similar thing. It's still quite dim. Okay, so I ended up settling for a different display and inverter. So I used the matching inverter that I had in my stock and used a different screen, and it does look better than it did. Previously it was extremely dim. Now I should mention, again, it's hard to really notice it on camera. Like, let me, for example, look at something brighter and lock the exposure. I mean, it's a lot better than it was. For example, I'll go and wake up this machine here just as sort of a comparison. Again, exposure is locked on the camera. So you can see how the LED panel is definitely brighter than this panel with the CCFL backlight. But this is better than it was, for sure. And that's just the downside of the old CCFL backlit displays, is they just did not seem to get as bright as, of course, the newer LED stuff, and these also consume more power, so they do run the battery down quicker if you have them wide open bright. So this machine does need a CMOS battery. I thought I had a couple of the CMOS batteries from these machines kicking around, but I can't find them. They take a sort of a proprietary plug-in cell, and not just a standard CR2032 like you commonly have. An alternative would be to replace the regular battery, which at this moment there's not a battery installed, so it does lose track of settings anytime you unplug the power cord. But at least the screen is working better on this. I'm going to do some experimentation with this machine. I'm going to try to install Windows 11 on it just for fun to see how that runs. Again, this is a 2006 laptop, so yeah, definitely up there in age. It'd be fun to see how it runs it. I've already put a solid state drive in this machine, and we have, how much RAM we have? 4 gigabytes of memory in there, so I've already upgraded the RAM. It had like 2 gigs to begin with, so yeah, at least now you can see the screen a little better. And of course, let me go ahead and get out of setup. And of course, here we are with just a black screen. Show you how dark text looks on it. So there's the boot up animation. So it is, of course, now when you look straight on it, you can see it pretty good there. It is dark. I mean, it is darker than a regular modern LED display, but this is definitely better than what it was. It used to be, it was so bad you could hardly see this text right here. So anyways, that is me changing out a screen and the CCFL inverter in this machine. I should note the proper way to take this apart would be to take the screws out of the bottom and the back, take this trim off, take the lid loose from the rest of the laptop, and then take apart this bezel. I mean, you could start to take it apart and make whatever is easier for you in this situation. But on this one, you definitely would want to take this out. You will need to take this out to completely get the trim off of the lid so you can change the screen or the inverter. So anyways, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Hey everybody. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video from Compaq channel. If this is your first time, please subscribe to the channel and be sure to tick the bell so we get notified of new video posts. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment and share this video as well as the channel with your friends and get the word out. Also, I have a second channel, that's Compaq MTDX. Over there you'll find videos about thunderstorms and weather, cycling, and videos about me personally. Feel free to subscribe over there as well if you like. Again, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for your support.